So now let's take a look at search engines and how they came to be. And in doing this, we'll see how Google is really distinct from other search engines and in what they're able to do and what they offer. So in 1994, that's when the idea of full text search started to happen. And the first to offer that was called Web Crawler, where you could enter a full text search and it would return a list of pages that had results similar to that in 1994. So that's when this whole concept of full text search, where you could enter some amount of text into some page and then they'd actually return based upon your search. So then in 95 to 96, that's when you had the emergence of search engines like Alta Vista, Yahoo, Ask Jeeves. And what they had what's called a relevance score. And that's how they based it. And that's probably the most intuitively obvious way that you would go about ranking the web pages, is you'd say that they'd look through each of the web pages and they would basically keep a count of the number of times what you searched. So you search some query, it would have a certain number of words in it. And they would take each of those words and phrases and see how many times it appeared in each of those web pages. They'd look at each web page and they'd count the total number of times. And so maybe for this one it was 10. And then maybe for this one it was 3, and so on. And that's what they would use, that relevance score, to actually rank the web pages in that way. Then Google came around in 1997 and they had a bit of a different idea. Well, the first way that they changed the landscape was they actually had a different way then of doing relevance score. But really their main contribution was in terms of defining what's called an importance score. So the importance score is independent of the search query that you make. Okay, so the importance score of a web page doesn't depend upon what you search at all. It depends on the structure of the web pages themselves. And we have to come up with the idea of which web pages are the most important. And that itself is a term that doesn't have a right or wrong answer. But they said, let's also take into account how important the web pages are. Rather than just how many hits we have on the web page, how many pages can we look at the connectivity on the web pages and see which ones seem to be more important than others, and those should be weighted more effectively in the answer. So now, here's a search engine market share taken in May 2012. It was showing that Google had about 73 to 74% of the market. Bing is another big name in search. Definitely, they had 11 or 12%. Yahoo is a little above them at this time, at least, with 12.47%. And then Ask and AOL still around there too. And we'll start looking at now how the importance score has an impact on the search result page that you see when you do a Google search.